The Limbourg Brothers were famous Dutch artists in the late 1300s. The oldest was Herman. Next came Paul, then Jean. They were close together in ages. Their father was a sculptor, but he died when the boys were young, and their mother sent them to live with her brother, their uncle, who was a painter. While they were on their way home to visit their mother, they were captured. 2 of them were captured and held for ransom when they tried to return to their home. Their mother didn't have the money to pay, so Philip the Bold paid the ransom. Shortly after, he made a 4-year contract with the boys for them to illustrate a Bible for him. When Philip died, the 3 brothers went to work for his brother, Jean de Berry. This is Duke de Berry on a journey. It's an illustration made for a prayer for a safe journey. In the picture, we see the Duke on his white horse as he rides toward his castle, followed by his friends. The Duke wanted them to make paintings for a book called the Book of Hours. Some say it may be the most valuable book in the world. The Book of Hours was a prayer book with prayers for certain times, such as seasons of the year and months, and also prayers for different days of the weeks, and even hours of the day. It also was a calendar. What's going on in this painting? You'll see the nobility in the forefront, on the grass enjoying the outdoors. Then you see some trees, woods, and lake in the middle ground. Then in the background, you'll see the castle. So taking in all the clues, we find that our nobility is out in the countryside enjoying themselves and picking flowers. Your assignment is to create a landscape of different layers. I'll show you an example. You may follow my example, then you create your own in a style similar to this using a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. In this lesson, you will need pencils, colored pencils, eraser, and paper. You can also use tempera paint or acrylic paint for brighter colors if you'd like. Alright, I brought my picture along with me, and this will be my reference picture. First, I'm going to outline the different layers. The first layer is the foreground. This is the front patch that we see here. And then I'm going to draw the middle ground. The middle ground has that nice sloped hill with the curvy street. And then the background. The background is the top layer of this landscape. And you'll see those trees and a couple of mountains in the background behind there. And then some clouds. I'm going to make this more folk artsy. Now, folk art is not very realistic, but it's very charming and very colorful. This is where I'm going to start drawing in the details. I'm going to make the patchwork quilt pattern that you see when you are flying over farmland. And here is that curved street and our little house. Go ahead and add some colors. But before I get too far, I think I'm going to want to make sure I add some outline layers. Now, this is not something you have to do, totally optional, but it's something I sometimes like to do. I just outline some of those details, not all of them, and just kind of give it a different look. Now let's fill it in with some colors. You'll notice I'm being pretty even, and the further back I go, I'm going a little bit lighter. The closer I am with the green, it's a little bit darker. That's more of a highlighted green. Get those colorful spots. Now, while we're using a reference photo, doesn't mean we have to copy every detail. Add your own special things that you'd like to add to it. If you want a sheep in the forefront or a duck in the forefront, How fun would that be? A flock of geese flying in the clouds. Alright, so you'll see that those mountains or those trees I'm drawing right here, I'm not adding a whole lot of strong color. And the reason for this is because the further away something is, and the further or the less color you'll see. Alright, we're going to add our shadows. I'm actually using a darker green here for my shadows. And that's going to make it look like there's some depth to this. You can tell the difference between each mountain and each curve, and that they are separate things. Red roof. So much fun. Did you know that the Limbourg Brothers were the first ones to bring us the first snowy landscape in the history of painting? They did. Smoke from a chimney, skies full of clouds, proper night scene, paintings with perspective. God, these Limbourg Brothers were way ahead of their time. Oh, here we are with the mountains again. Now up close, I'm sure they are bright green and very colorful, but far away, they're very, very not colorful. Now, if you'll see the sky, the lower part of the sky as you look out on a landscape is going to be a lot lighter. As you look higher up into the sky, it gets darker and darker. That's because of how the atmosphere is. I'd love to see what you make.